Hey guys, Kendra here. I want to show you how to do the abdominal canister. It's one of the most important moves you can do in postpartum repair, and if it's the one thing that you do on a daily basis, this is it.
You're gonna lay on your back. You can do the abdominal canister in a lot of different positions. You can do it on your back, you can do it sitting, you can do it on all fours, you can do it on your side, but I like to show it on the back because it's just a little bit easier to organize here. Okay, so we're gonna find neutral pelvis. So your hands go on your hips, your fingertips go on your pubic bone. So don't be afraid to get into your pubic bone. And then rock forward and back. So the goal is that the base of your palms is parallel to your fingertips, right? So we don't want everything crushed to the back. That's the biggest mistake that I see, is that everything is kind of crushed down to the floor and you use more of your rectus abdominis than the transverse abs. So pitch your hips forward, tack your tailbone towards the floor, maybe even a little more than you think you need to. And then from here, we'll just do a couple of pelvic floor lifts. So when you inhale, think of dropping the pelvic floor away. So release the pelvic floor as you inhale. And then as you exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor. So you're gonna squeeze the external muscles and lift the internal muscles at the same time. And then inhale and release it. And then exhale, squeeze and lift. So squeeze the outside, lift the inside. And then again, inhale, release it. And exhale, squeeze and lift. And if you don't feel anything here, it's okay. Sometimes it takes a little time to get it back into feeling mode. If you want to put the block between your inner thighs, that can help kind of contract into the pelvic floor. You can get a little bit more contraction. So one thing to be aware of when you start lifting the pelvic floor is sometimes the glutes will try to clench, or you'll go like this, right? You'll try to lift the pelvic floor and go, ah, right? And the low back presses down into the floor. So try to keep it neutral and just lifting with the pelvic floor. Okay, so we'll practice that a couple more times. Inhale, release the pelvic floor, and exhale, contract it. And then we'll add the breath. So on your inhale, can you breathe into the bottom of your ribs? So take your hands around your rib cage and then try to expand 360 degrees out when you inhale. So we'll breathe in. And then exhale, contract the ribs down. And then inhale, breathe into your hands. And exhale, contract in. Good. So you're trying to breathe into your mid-back. And then we're going to add the two together. So on the inhale, the pelvic floor drops, the rib cage expands. So you think expansion on the inhale. On the exhale, you contract the pelvic floor, the rib cage contracts, and because both are contracting, the core will contract as well. Inhale, release the pelvic floor, breathe into your rib cage. Let your belly expand, and then exhale, lift the pelvic floor, compress your ribs, let your core tighten. Okay, so inhale, expand into your mid-back, exhale, contract and tighten. Good, do one more. Inhale, expand, and exhale, lift and tighten. Right, so we're not trying to press the low back into the ground. We're keeping everything perfectly still, and the corset muscles around the core are cinching in, led by the pelvic floor and the rib cage. I know this can be a little bit wonky at first, but this is one of the most important things you can do in your postpartum repair, and it takes some time to get the coordination. Now I want to show you what paradoxical breathing is, because I see this really often. We tend to do the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing, which is why it's a paradox. What I often see is this. So we'll inhale and we'll go, right? Do you see what happened? My ribs expanded and my belly suctioned in. So on the other side of the paradoxical inhale is a paradoxical exhale. So when we inhale, we suction, and then we exhale, and we push it all out and we bear down. You see what's poking out here, and this puts undue pressure on our pelvic floor and our lower core muscles. Paradoxical breath is not what we want to do. What we do want to do is the abdominal canister breath, which is expansion. So when you're inhaling, expand through the pelvic floor, expand through the rib cage, expand through the belly too. Full expansion, full contraction. So now play around with that, and I want you to kind of play around with what you feel and see if you can get the muscles to coordinate. See if you can get the pelvic floor to coordinate with the diaphragm and the core muscles to coordinate too. If you're having trouble feeling it on your back, you can also try it here. It's a great place to feel the breath into your mid-back. This particular exercise can take some time to really master.
You can do these abdominal canister breaths, as often as you can. You can do it in your movements, you can do it when you're standing, you can do it every time you're shushing your baby, pulling the core in. Just try to incorporate it into your day as much as you can, and it's really going to start engaging the pelvic floor and the core and the diaphragm, which are so important to this postpartum healing period.